鳥居があった。浄化する。
In this video, I'm gonna talk about Ghostwire Tokyo. If I understood correctly, the story of this game is that a fog rolls into downtown Tokyo and rips everyone out into the spirit world. Meanwhile, a random dude crashes his motorcycle, inadvertently fools the fog into thinking he is already dead, and then gets possessed by a ghost who finds out the hard way that his new host turns out to be alive. What follows is an adventure in which it is less about why or how it all works, and more about fixing the problem at hand, because the 250,000 souls that have been spirited away will be used by the bad guy in order to do his bad stuff. Whatever that bad stuff happens to be is largely irrelevant. You just need to know that it's bad, and wrong, and badong, and you should probably stop him. In order to help out with the situation, you inherit the ghost's magical powers, which allow you to tap into the spirit world and have some way to fight back against what turns out to be the entire Parthenon of Japanese mythology. You'll get to fight personified concepts of despair and anguish, and you'll get to help out well-known creatures of the Eastern folklore in your quest to prevent whatever bullshit is about to befall the entire country. What the bad stuff is exactly isn't elaborated upon beyond the absolute bare essentials. It's a very 90s approach to video game villainy. It's a throwback to when the bad guy's job was to be bad for its own sake and offer some sort of target for the hero to shoot at in order to feel like the hero. The introduction is nothing more than an excuse to set the stage and open up the playing field. It could have been anything at all, as long as the end result has you using magic powers to move around and defeat your opposition. The entirety of downtown Tokyo becomes a playground to explore up and down and clean up of all of its shiny, sweet collectibles. You have spirits to rescue, upgrades to obtain, special creatures to chase down, raccoons to find, and I probably forgot another 2 or 3 things along the way. For all the combat abilities you obtain, the great majority of the gameplay is going to be a mystical urban cleanup detail. To put it another way, if you do more fighting than exploring, then you are probably blazing through the story a little too fast. Exploration is how you will get money and upgrades, and money and upgrades are how you will make your job easier for the boss fights. It might as well be that way, because the combat abilities make for a clunky experience. You can shoot the green stuff as your workhorse most of the time, or you can shoot the red stuff at anything you are not in the mood to deal with. I have never found a good use for the blue stuff, and the bow I used only for that achievement where you have to kill some enemies with a headshot. The talismans, I completely forgot they were even there. You will also be happy to know that aim assist is turned on by default. So, if it feels like your aim is playing tricks on you, that is probably because you are on mouse and keyboard, and the game has been openly engineered around the use of a controller. Also, if you have the misfortune of starting the game while under a foreign keyboard layout, you will find that your traditional WASD setup has sent itself to the Shadow Realm and gotten replaced with whatever crazy layout they use over in France. It doesn't help that my graphics card is showing signs of age and that an intense moment can easily run at Microsoft PowerPoint frames per second. This game is very demanding. I give that a pass, because the payoff is nothing less than utterly spectacular. It simply requires that your graphics card be capable of moonlighting as a viable Bitcoin farm in the year of our Lord. I have to admit that wandering in empty Tokyo is a haunting experience. I have never been to Tokyo proper, but I can easily imagine having at least one person in sight at any given time of the day. Being almost completely alone in that context is a fresh thing. If it had not been for the voice in the main character's head, the feeling of isolation would have approached that of Super Metroid. There is a French expression that literally translates to making the empty. It essentially means to clear your thoughts. That is my feeling when I run around and grab all the collectibles. I do it thoughtlessly, and at the same time, I do it while thinking freely about pretty much anything and everything. I just like the French expression more. It has a more spiritual connotation to it. It brings about an image less like walking around the block while having a smoke, and more like walking an entire afternoon on a forest trail around the lake, while surrounded by the sound of silence. It's gotten me thinking about my own progress on here. This was never a very serious YouTube channel. It started off as an NT channel for all intents and purposes. It was one part me wanting a creative outlet when gaming didn't scratch the itch, and one part clueless rebellion against boilerplate YouTubing with long intros and rapid smash cuts and thumbnails with shocked expressions, and remember to dropkick and ass fuck the like, comment, and subscribe buttons! And over time, I got to making concessions. I made some thumbnails. I got an intro together. I purchased a microphone that wasn't whichever cheap-ass abomination my headset came with. I'm starting to think about including an end card. Maybe I'll start today. I became a little more of what I was initially rebelling against. But in a twist of irony, I also gained a little more self-respect. The first videos have been vomited upon the world with all the hurry of a first-time comedian who recites his bit with no sense of pacing and punchline, and who runs away from the stage as soon as he's done without ever daring to look back on the crowd's response. I think it took me a good dozen uploads before I could stomach watching one of my own videos after it was done. Over all the iterations, I've sought my place into how to present the material. What kind of dosage to apply, how much to be informative, how much to be funny. I don't have the deadpan perfection of Moist Critical. I don't have Video Game Donkey's timbre of voice that can make any innocent statement funny. I don't have the ability to motor mouth while staying coherent like Yahtzee. I don't have a partner to look over my material and apply improvements like Brian and Nick of regular car reviews. I don't have the quirky mannerisms of Doug DeMuro. Well, I know what I'm not. It's a start. I know that I like playing games and then say some shit about them on YouTube. I know that it's a hobby I enjoy. I know that writing up my script for each video is a challenge I don't always like. I get stuck very often. But I'll never grow as a person and as a creative mind if I don't power through these hurdles when they come up. I know that there's probably something worthwhile to do with the activity of me speaking into a microphone. It's curious, but getting nearly 1,000 views and a respectable number of likes on my previous 2 videos felt like an unexpected Christmas present in an age where my family and friends have done away with the practice of giving presents altogether. Maybe I did something right, or maybe the YouTube algorithm simply took a liking to me twice in a row by some magical miracle. 2 does not a pattern make, but when it comes to YouTube, it feels a lot like rolling a pair of 6s twice in a row. It's a wonderful little treat to savor. In the end, I'm a person with a mic and an internet connection among many other persons with a mic and an internet connection. Nothing more, nothing less. I've published videos, there are many like them, but these ones are mine, and I'm actually starting to grow to like them. I don't make money off this channel. I don't intend to. I've got a day job that takes care of this, and I wouldn't want to turn YouTube into a job, not when YouTube is arguably one of the worst employers a person can ever possibly ask for. New Year means resolutions. Maybe I can make a resolution to tighten my scripts, make them feel more focused, less scatterbrained. Will I accomplish that resolution? Will I even remember to do that? Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z. I have no idea how I'll get that done. It'll be like fly fishing. You make a ridiculous number of fruitless attempts before thinking that maybe you need a different fly. And even then, nothing is certain, not even when you do hook a fish, because your outcome is also the fruit of countless variables floating around you and on which you have absolutely no control. Rolling along with so much uncertainty is a learning experience. So, yeah, that's what I've been thinking about while saving Tokyo from the ghost world. To put it bluntly, there's nothing all that profound about the game. You get to play scavenger hunt for upwards of 40 hours if you try to do as many of the things as you can. You have a bad guy to focus on too, whenever the game feels like it. You have a handful of challenges to accomplish, none of them too difficult. And the game gets to look really pretty while you do all that. There's one particular mode. It's called the Spider's Thread. It flips the entire vision on its head by turning the game into a roguelike dungeon. Instead of square miles to explore, you become constrained to countless tiny little areas where you maneuver and fight from one exit to another. For what that's worth, it's a legitimately well-done game mode. There's purpose in the designs, and the challenges look pretty well woven together. It's not just a cheaped-out arrangement of rooms and obstacles. There are special little things that are not seen in the base game, and they make you experience an entire B-side of the game's premise. But at the same time, it's the complete antithesis of what I believe the game stands for. Ghostwire Tokyo is about passive and free-flowing exploration. The flip side is an active claustrophobia. Full disclosure, I've not played it any more than strictly necessary. I recognize it as an objectively polished bit of content, but that aside, it's just not for me. I'd rather focus on the wanderlust and the discovery. That tiny little dopamine rush I get when I find something I was looking for. I get the collectibles bar to 100% and I activate the gate that unlocks the next area to do the cleanup job over again. That's what I came here for. To experience progress. To observe the world getting better in some fashion in the wake of what I do. And to think about what I'm doing with some parts of my life. In short, this game is making the empty.